So check this out. 3 men are sitting around a table drinking coffee. They all look alike, but only 2 of them are brothers. The third one just doesn't belong at all because he's an alien. Who is it? It's the man sitting on the right. He's got 12 fingers. Yeah, the one sitting in the center has some weird ears, but look at the family portrait on the wall. His dad has the very same ears. Gabrielle is a shop assistant in a department store. Right now, there are 3 people in the fitting rooms. There's Jessica, the woman wearing a green dress, Sean, a man wearing a leather jacket and skinny jeans, and Alex, the man who's trying on a larger-sized pair of jeans that Gabrielle just brought him. One of the clients is an alien. Help Gabrielle figure it out. Who's the alien? It's Alex. Take a closer look at his feet. Only a reptile or an alien would have feet like that. Jessica was walking through the dark woods. Suddenly, she saw a castle. Probably belonged to a witch or something. She was pretty curious and wanted to snoop around, but the door was locked. There was a note with a secret code attached to the gate, but she still needed to decipher it. If you want to enter my castle, crack this code. Can you crack this code? The answer is witch. 2 stars after wing means you need to get rid of the last 2 letters. Same goes for the word tea. For the word chair, you need to cut off the last 3 letters. See? Eric went to the supermarket and grabbed 2 oranges and a watermelon. It cost him $6. Helen went to the same supermarket. She grabbed a lemon, an orange, and a watermelon. She paid $8. The oranges, lemons, and watermelons all have different prices. What's more expensive, an orange or a lemon? The lemon's more expensive. Eric had 2 oranges and a watermelon, which cost him $6. The 2 fruits have different prices, so it can't be 2 plus 2 plus 2. The only possible combination is 1 plus 1 plus 4, so the watermelon cost $4. Helen paid $4 for the watermelon and $1 for the orange. So now we know a lemon costs $3. David and Hannah got stranded on a tiny uninhabited island. They had no radio or cell phones, so they couldn't call for help. There were no trees on the island, so they couldn't even make a smoke signal. Suddenly, Hannah noticed a plane circling the sky, searching for them. But it was flying too high. There was no way the pilot could see them. That's when she got a bright idea. Soon after, the plane spotted them and picked them up. What was Hannah's idea? She used rocks to spell out SOS on the sand. 3 turtles are walking one behind the other. The first one says, "There are 2 turtles behind me." The second one says, "There's 1 turtle behind me and another one right in front of me." The third one says, "There are 2 turtles in front of me and 1 more right behind me." Now, how's that possible? Well, they're walking in a circle, very slowly. On a farm, there's a cow, 2 horses, and a cat. Farmer Jack drives up to his farm accompanied by his dog, Fluffy. How many feet are there on the farm? There are only 2. Cows and horses have hooves. Dogs and cats have paws. Only Jack has feet. You find yourself trapped in a medieval castle, far away from civilization. Boy, your vacation isn't turning out as planned. You can't jump out the window because it's too high off the ground. The only tree near the window doesn't look sturdy enough for you to climb on down. However, there are 3 doors, one of which can lead you to freedom. Behind the first door is a fierce fire. Behind the second door are hundreds of venomous snakes. And behind the third door, there's a pitch-black maze. Who knows what surprises are waiting for you there? So, which door should you choose? The third door. You just need to break off a tree branch, turn it into a torch by lighting it in the first room, and go through the maze. At least you'll be able to see where you're going. Maria lives in Paris, and once every 2 weeks she goes to Saint-Tropez to see her grandmother. She bought a ticket from the machine, finished her coffee, and headed to the train. But this weekend, something went wrong. She didn't make it to Saint-Tropez. Why not? She bought the wrong ticket. It says Saint-Tropez, Paris, but she needed Paris, Saint-Tropez. When she tried to get on the train, the conductor immediately told her she had the wrong ticket, and she just didn't have enough time to change it. Emma's a big fan of all things pink. She lives in a 1-story pink house. She has a pink cat, a pink dog, a pink hamster, pink walls, pink doors, and even a pink fridge. What color are her stairs? She doesn't have stairs. She lives in a 1-story house. But that house sure gets a lot of stares from the neighbors. Mark got to take part in a TV show where he had to answer some tough questions. He was doing really great and managed to answer 14 out of 15 questions. He was real nervous, only one more question and he'd hit the grand prize, $1 million. What is as large as an elephant but doesn't even weigh an ounce? Mark shouted out an answer, and now he's a millionaire. What was his guess? It's shadow. It's as large as an elephant, but it's weightless. Ice melts when you heat it up. But if you heat me, I solidify. You have 7 seconds to figure out what I am. I'm an egg. Hey, don't crack me up. Paulo was on a mission to take some nature pics for his blog. As he was walking through the forest, he fell into a deep pit. He tried to climb out, but when he grabbed onto a rock, it broke off and water started to pour in. The pit was filling up fast. Paulo saw a deflated ball, an empty barrel, and a piece of wooden board. What should he use to get out of the pit? The deflated ball is too small and has a slit in one side. The wooden board wouldn't support his weight. The best option is the empty barrel. It might just keep Paulo afloat. Anthony majored in accounting at the university. His roommates wanted to test his intelligence. They took 3 envelopes and wrote some messages on them. Then, they put the answers to Anthony's upcoming exam in one of the envelopes. Only one envelope has a truthful message written on it. The other 2 are lies. Anthony isn't allowed to open the envelopes before choosing. The first message read, "There are no exam answers here." The second read, "The exam answers are here." And the third message read, "The exam answers aren't in the second envelope." Which envelope has the exam answers in it? The first envelope has the answers in it. The first and second envelopes are lies. The third one's telling the truth. A man was driving along a country road when one of his tires burst. While changing it, he accidentally lost all 4 wheel nuts. The road was deserted and the driver was afraid he'd be stuck out there all night. But an old lady walking by said something to him that changed his luck for the better. What advice did she give him? She told him to remove one nut from each of the other wheels and use them for the fourth tire. This way, he could get to the nearest service station. King Archibald had no one who could inherit his throne. That's why he decided to hold a contest to find a worthy successor. He gave a seed to every participant and announced that the person who grew the healthiest and most beautiful plant would become the next king or queen. On the final day of the competition, the king saw hundreds of people with plants of all sizes and shapes, but he ignored them all. He ended up choosing a lady holding a pot with nothing in it but moist dirt. How come she won? The king was a kind and honest man and wanted his heir to have the same qualities. He gave the participants tiny pebbles, not seeds. That's how he figured out the lady was the only honest one there. 4 men are lined up on several steps, all of them facing in the same direction. A brick wall separates the 4th man from the rest. Man 1 can see man 2 and 3. Man 2 can see man 3. All man 3 sees is the wall, and man 4 can't see anyone. They're all wearing hats, and they know that 2 of the hats are white and 2 are black. Which man will be the first to figure out and shout out the color of the hat he's wearing? Obviously, the men aren't allowed to turn around, talk to each other, or take their hats off. It'll be man 2. Man 3 and man 4 can't see any other hats. Man 1 sees one black hat and one white hat, so his hat can be either white or black. Man 2 only sees one black hat, but he realizes that if he were also wearing a black hat, Man 1 would know his hat was white. And since Man 1 hasn't said anything, Man 2 must be wearing a white hat. And if you figured all that out, well, my hat's off to you. Lost inheritance. Larry's granddad was a wealthy man who loved playing pranks on his relatives. That's why, when he passed away, no one could find his will. But one day, 5 years later, Larry was looking through some old papers. Suddenly, his breath caught in his throat. The document he was holding was his granddad's will. It read, "I hid all my money and other valuables at 2 p.m. sharp under my favorite cherry tree, right where its shadow ends. The one who digs it out will be my heir." Larry was ecstatic. He was going to be rich. He drove to his granddad's villa and found the cherry tree. He waited for an hour or so until 2 p.m. and started to dig. But try as he might, his efforts didn't pay off. Confused and upset, he had to return home. Why didn't he find anything? It's been several years since the granddad hid his valuables. The tree has grown taller, and its shadow has become longer too. A smart investigator. A man living in a small village in the mountains got his goat stolen. He was sure one of his neighbors was behind this crime. The head of the village invited 4 suspects and said, "I'm going to give each of you a magic stick. Bring them to me in the morning. By that time, the thief's stick will have grown by 5 inches." The next day, the head of the village examined the suspect's stick. He immediately knew who had taken the goat. How? The thief's stick was 5 inches shorter than those of the rest. He had broken it, expecting it to grow longer during the night. A realization. 3 friends fell asleep under a tree in the countryside. While they were resting, a boy painted mustaches on their faces. Once the men woke up, they started to laugh. But then, all of a sudden, they stopped. Why? At first, they saw the mustaches on their friends' faces and found it funny. But then, they realized their friends were laughing too. It meant they had mustaches on their faces as well. An apple riddle. Eric was locked in a room with 19 other people. Each of them could see the entire room and all the people inside without turning their head or body or moving in any other way. To get out of the room, Eric had to place an apple in such a way that everyone but one person could see it. The guy managed to do it. How? He put the apple on one person's head. A weird choice. Every day, Mark rides his bike to the railway station to get to the college. There are 2 stops near his home. One 1 mile away from his house, and the other 2 miles away in the opposite direction. In the morning, he always gets on the train at the first stop. And in the afternoon, he gets off at the second. Why? Mark's home and the stations are on the hill, and this method allows the guy to ride his bike down without any effort. A draw. 2 teams were playing soccer against each other. Each of them scored 2 goals in total, and still it wasn't a tie since one team won and the other lost. How come? One of the teams scored an own goal. Time travel. An inventor has created a time machine. He's packed enough food, water, and other necessities and is now ready to test his invention. He sets the timer to go 500 years back into the past. The man is about to press the start button when a thought comes to his mind. He slaps his forehead, takes the time machine and his supplies, and goes downstairs. What for? This way, he'll avoid a nasty fall. Multi-story buildings were rare 5 centuries ago. A money problem. A notorious criminal caught rich businessman Brian and locked him in a room. "I won't let you go until you double the money I leave for you." And the criminal put $5,000 on the table. By the time he returned, Brian had already doubled the money. He hadn't left the room or communicated with anyone. Then, how did he do it? He put the money in front of the mirror. Granted wishes. Amanda was walking along the beach one day and found a glass bottle. The thing looked ancient, and the girl had to put a lot of effort into opening it. To her shock, guess what? A genie appeared from the bottle. "I'll grant you 3 wishes, but there's one condition. You can't wish for more wishes." Amanda agreed and still managed to get more wishes. How did she do it? She started with wishing that the genie allowed her to ask for more wishes. Strange reaction. 2 British women wanted to lose weight. They went to the gym, ate healthily, and drank a lot of water. In 2 weeks, both of them lost 10 pounds. But one woman was happy and the other upset. Why? The first woman lost weight, and the second, 10 pounds in UK money. 11. How did she survive? Melissa stayed late at work one evening. When she was walking home, it was already dark. Suddenly, she noticed a group of people. They were moving in a strange, jerky way, closer and closer. With growing horror, Melissa realized the approaching people were actually zombies. In a moment, she got surrounded. Then, darkness. And still, the next day, the girl was in the kitchen making herself a vegetable salad. How is it possible? Look at the date. It's November 1st. It was Halloween the day before, and zombies were just some dressed-up guys. Beach volleyball. Andrew and his friend Kenneth went to the beach to have some fun. Andrew started to play volleyball with Gary, a guy they met there. After the game was over, Andrew went to a beach bar and ordered a lemonade. But after drinking it, he almost immediately felt sick and lost consciousness. Kenneth called an ambulance and his friend was taken to a hospital. There it was discovered Andrew had been poisoned. The police questioned the suspects. Kenneth said, "I'm sure the barman put something in Andrew's drink." The barman exclaimed, "Why would I poison my customer? It was probably the guy he played volleyball with. He lost the game and wanted to get revenge." Gary said, "After we finished playing, I went to swim in the sea. I didn't even notice Andrew had been taken away." Who poisoned Andrew? It was the barman. He lied about Gary losing the game to frame the guy. A teacher's riddle. A student had failed his test and came to his teacher asking how he could improve his marks. The teacher replied, "If you manage to solve my riddle, I'll give you a better mark. You have a cardboard box. It's easier to lift from a wooden floor than from a steel table. What's in the box?" The student thought for a while and answered correctly. What did he say? The box is filled with magnets. A missing model. Ashley was a popular fashion model. On Friday, she had to open a show. But 10 minutes before the event, she vanished. Several witnesses claimed the girl had been taken away in a black car. The police questioned 4 suspects. Betty, Ashley's colleague, said, "I felt sleepy before the show. I'd made myself a cup of coffee and was drinking it when Ashley disappeared." Kevin, the manager, told the detective some equipment had been broken. He was trying to solve this problem. Paul, the hairstylist, explained that he had been refreshing the model's makeup. And Donna, the designer, said she had only come several minutes before the show. Who was behind Ashley's disappearance? It's Paul. He's a hairstylist, and they don't deal with makeup. Plus, there are no beauty products at his station. In disguise. A feared criminal managed to escape from the police. He got a job in a wealthy mansion. When the detectives arrived there, they found out 3 men had been hired recently. They questioned each of them. Michael, the cook, told the police he had been working in a restaurant before. But then the restaurant went out of business and he found a new job. John, the gardener, answered he had always been interested in plants. After finishing garden design courses, he landed this job. Robert, the security guard, said his father was the house owner's friend. He helped Robert to get his position. Who's the criminal? It's the cook. Before the police came, he'd been trying to make an omelet. But look, it's full of eggshells. A real cook would never make such a mistake. A train mystery. It's something that comes with a train, leaves with a train, but is no use to a train. And yet, no train can go without it. What is it? It's noise. Yeah, really. Uh-oh, Allie was missing for days when her husband Orson called the police to report it. Detective Wells arrived at the scene and found her purse buried in the garden. Inside, there was a note that read, "It's a sign, you're mine. I redesign your new life." The police had 3 suspects with unusual names: Orson, her husband, Ryan, her best friend, and Atlas, her brother. Who took Allie? It was Ryan. Almost all the words in the note rhyme with his name. While driving in a storm, John saw 3 people standing in the rain at the bus stop. But he only had 1 seat available in his car. Who gets the ride? His childhood friend, an old lady that looks like she's freezing, or his wife? John asked his childhood friend to drive the old lady to the hospital and then take the car back to his house, and John himself will wait for the bus with his wife. Mark is locked in a 30-foot-tall cell with an earthen floor and a window near the ceiling. There's nothing else in his room but a shovel and a bed. The entrance is blocked with concrete. How can he get out? Mark can shovel the soil to the wall underneath the window and climb out. Detective Jones was called one day by Border Control about a suspicious pickup truck. Every day, the vehicle went back and forth between 2 countries with a large sack in the back of its truck bed. When the detective opened the sack, it was filled with sand. What was the driver smuggling? Trucks. A geography teacher vanished on the first day of school. When the police arrived, they suspected 4 people who claimed to have alibis. The landscaper was mowing the front lawn. The English teacher was giving students a surprise test. The principal was preparing for his welcoming speech. And the coach was meeting new students who wanted to join the football team. Who was lying? The English teacher, of course! Students don't get surprise tests on the first day. Well, maybe not at this school. A crazy scientist took 10 people into his lab to check their intelligence. He gave everyone 2 pills and a glass of water. He told them, one pill is a placebo and the other is poison. Whichever you take, I'll take. But somehow everyone ended up unconscious after the trial except for the scientist. How did he do it? Both pills were placebo. The poison was in the water. Shane and Mia went to Japan for their honeymoon. Only Shane came back, and Mia's family called the best detective in town. What should be the detective's first move? Inspect Shane's suitcase. Inspect Shane's house. Call the travel agency Shane and Mia used. called the agency to see how many return tickets Shane had booked. He's a suspect, and he shouldn't know the police are investigating him to avoid losing the evidence. Someone knocked on Amy's hotel room door. When she opened it, she saw a mysterious man. He apologized and said he'd mistaken Amy's room for his. When he left, Amy called the police. Why? Nobody knocks on the door of their own room. This is a technique used by people who want to break into someone's home. A worker was found unconscious near the entrance of an abandoned building. He has no memory of what happened, but seems to have fallen from the building. Detective Marks is assigned to this case, and he must figure out whether the worker fell or was pushed. He goes to the first floor, opens the window, and throws out a small rock. He does the same on the second floor and all the way to the top. When the detective comes back down, he's sure the worker was pushed. How does he know? He had to open windows on all floors to throw out rocks. This was an abandoned building, and someone closed the window right after pushing the worker. James ordered a coffee from his local bakery, put in some sugar, but then noticed a fly in his cup. He told the staff member, and they took back the coffee and brought him a new one. But when he got a sip, he got angry. Why? His new coffee was already sweetened. The staff member only removed the fly. Tom was walking in a snowy park at 10 p.m. when he got attacked from behind. He didn't see who knocked him out, and he immediately went to the police. The detectives questioned 4 suspects. Adam said he was at a suit fitting for his dinner later. Daniel said he was hosting a party at his place. Susan said she was working out before going to work. And Luke said he went to the park to get some cool photos of flying birds. One of them is lying. Who? It's Luke. It's next to impossible to see birds at night in winter. Right before the final soccer match, the team's goalkeeper went missing. The police arrived and they had 3 suspects from the rival team. Mike said he was signing autographs for his friends. Jake said he had broken his ankle and he was getting a massage. John was training at the gym before the match. The police immediately knew who did it. It was Jake. You don't get a massage when you break your ankle. A doctor walked into an unconscious patient's ward. There, he saw a nurse buttoning up her shirt. As soon as she noticed him, she exclaimed, "It's not what you think." The nurse isn't lying, but why was her shirt unbuttoned in the first place? She got locked out of the changing room and knew that the patient was unconscious, so she went to his ward to change into her uniform. Yeah, I believe her. A group of 6 friends decided to check out an abandoned house in their neighborhood. When they arrived, Mark, one of the group, warned his friends not to go in. But all of them ignored him and walked in anyway. Mark stayed outside, but his friends never came out. What did he see that stopped him from going into the house? There were footprints going in, but none coming out. Detective Stevenson is taken by some of his mean supervisors who want to test his intelligence. They put him in a room with 2 doors. One leads to freedom, while the other opens onto a bottomless pit. There are 2 guards, either responsible for one door. One of them always tells the truth, while the other always lies. Stevenson doesn't know who's the honest one, and he can only ask one question to one of them. What should the question be to save his life? If I ask the security guard next to you which door leads to freedom, what will he say? The honest guard will say that the liar will point to the dangerous door. The liar will point to that one too. No matter who Stevenson asks, he should pick the door neither of them will point at. Melissa is walking down a dark alley when she notices a dark figure following her. She walks into a restaurant and sits at a table. The mysterious figure does the same. Then she yawns and immediately knows she's got a stalker. How? When she looked up, the mysterious figure was also yawning. It means they had been watching her. The director of a large company was found unconscious in his office. The police showed up, saw the messy office, and realized that a fight had gone down. They went to his secretary and asked to see the list of visitors that day. Immediately, they knew who did it. How? The last visitor was the culprit. During the fight, the wall clock also stopped because it got hit. It showed the exact time the last appointment took place. Sarah wanted to get some money from her brother for a house. She couldn't tell him the truth and asked him for an expensive gift. After a week, her brother gave her a glamorous tiara. Then she went to her second brother, asked for money, but he gave her jewelry. Still, she's got both money and jewelry. How is it possible? She asked for a similar jewelry item and sold one of them. Susie went on a dating website and found 3 guys that she liked, all with some very impressive backgrounds. But only one of them is telling the truth. Can you guess which one? Shane said he was an astronaut. He went to Mars and enjoyed a beautiful sunset. Chris said he was a scientist and went to the North Pole. He enjoyed being on floating ice and seeing both Arctic foxes and penguins. Dylan said he was a pilot, and once he flew his helicopter so fast he broke the sound barrier. Shane is telling the truth. The sunset on Mars is blue. There are no penguins in the North Pole, and helicopters can't travel faster than the speed of sound. Oh, and yes, we'll also ignore the fact that no one's been to Mars yet. Susie also thinks Shane has beautiful eyes, so who are we to disrupt this love connection? You're taken into a dark cave. Your mission is to escape without getting caught. 4 different colored doors appear in front of you. A red one leads to an outer galaxy without a trace of oxygen. A yellow door leads you to a great white shark-infested water tank. A blue one leads to 66 million years ago, the time when a massive asteroid hit the Earth and made dinosaurs go extinct. And a purple door leads to a beautiful island filled with beaches and delicious food. On the wall, there's only one clue. It reads, "Pick the door that's not a primary color." You've got 10 seconds to open the right door. It's the purple door. Red, yellow, and blue are all primary colors, while purple is secondary. Plus, don't forget there's beaches and delicious food. You've managed to escape, and now you're transported to the beautiful island. You find a citizen in need. He tells you his brother had been taken by an evil mathematician, and the only way to escape is to solve his riddle. You rush to the scene and arrive at precisely 3 p.m. There, the mathematician greets you with an angry look and a tricky riddle. If you calculate the height of my tower, you and my prisoner are free to go. If you fail, you'll stay here forever. I offer you 3 calculation methods to choose from: multiple long sticks, your shadow, or the long rope hanging from the tower. I give you 9 seconds. Without even knowing the measurements of the sticks or the length of the rope, even if they're the same height as the tower, you'd still not know the actual size of the building. The best option is your shadow. Knowing your height, you can compare how many times your shadow fits into the tower's shadow. Add them together, and you've just found the right answer. Now that you're safe and sound, you go to your hotel to get some rest. That's when the restaurant manager calls you for help. He left the dinner service and his staff members said everything was quiet, so they closed up early. Before shutting down the restaurant, the manager asked them to send him a photo of the deserted restaurant. This is the photo I received. Everything seems empty and it appears my staff members are truthful. But something seems off. Can you help me figure it out? You've got 8 seconds. It appears the image was photoshopped. The employees removed the people from the picture, but they forgot to erase someone's hand from the table. Right before walking upstairs to your room, the HR manager calls you into her office. She needs help with a job application she received for the receptionist position. She's looking for someone who is multilingual and narrowed it down to 3 applicants. But only one person is telling the truth. Sarah is from Belgium and she speaks Dutch. Louise is from Switzerland and she speaks Swedish. Marie is from Monte Carlo and speaks Italian. You've got 7 seconds to figure out who is truthful. It's Sarah. In Belgium, they do speak Dutch, French, and German. In Switzerland, they mainly speak German, and in Monte Carlo, French. Time to go to your room and get some rest. But the elevator you entered is a trap. It takes you to the hotel's basement, where 3 doors appear in front of you. The first door takes you to the Amazon rainforest, with green anacondas, electric eels, and poison dart frogs. The second takes you to the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, the largest and most potent current globally. The third takes you to the top of Mauna Kea in Hawaii. It's the tallest mountain and largest volcano in the world that goes below sea level. Only one of them takes you to a safe place. Which one? You've got 6 seconds. Pick the third door. Mauna Kea is a dormant volcano, and it stopped erupting hundreds of thousands of years ago, so you're safe. You've made it out of the shady cave and you need to go to your room. As soon as you enter, the lights go off, and you hear bars lowering to the floor and huge chains shaking. You use your arms to navigate around and come across dots on the wooden floor. You run your fingers through them. It's Braille, and it reads, "One of the 3 magic mushrooms on this table will help you leave this place. Pick wisely, otherwise you'll be stuck in this dark room forever." The mushrooms on the left will make you super strong and provides healing powers. The one in the middle will bring the electricity back, and you'll be able to see. The one on the right will make you small and invisible. You've got 5 seconds to pick the right mushroom. Turning the lights on won't free you, and becoming invisible doesn't mean you won't bump into walls. The best option is the strength and healing mushroom. You can bang on the walls and bars until you break them. The next day rolls around. You head into the parking lot to pick up your car. But the car seems to be locked. There's a 3-digit PIN code lock on the passenger side door. On the side of the device, you read a clue. ABC equals 123. On the ground, there's a piece of paper that reads BAD. Use the clue to find PIN code numbers. Here are your 4 seconds. The code is 214. B is the second letter, A is the first, and D is the fourth. Now that you've got your car, time to do some shopping at the mall. You visit a jewelry shop. You discover it has a mysterious extension leading to a room filled with gold coins, diamonds, and other expensive metals. As soon as the owner spots you, he traps you in the room and locks the door. Nice shop. He tells you there's only one way to survive in that dark chamber. You must eat one muffin. If you eat the wrong one, you won't make it. But if you pick the right one, you'll be free to go. The first muffin turns you into moss. The second one turns you into a badger. The third muffin will turn you into a snake. 3 seconds. Moss can't survive without the sun for long, and snakes need the sun to regulate their body's temperature. The correct answer is the muffin that turns you into a badger. These creatures spend long periods in the dark. The mayor of the town calls you into his office. He politely ignores the fact that you're now a badger. He says that something mysterious is going on inside one of the town's restaurants. Everyone has turned into a zombie. Only one human is left in the bar, and you must save them. But first, you have to identify them. You're shown a photo with 3 people. Only one of them is human. You've got 3 seconds. It's the lady on the right. It looks like the red spot on her shirt came from her hot dog. The lady on the left is missing part of her ear. Now the mayor takes you to the local school. The principal needs to decide which of the students deserves to go to space camp next summer. She picked all the students that got A's on their report cards and gave each of them a bean. She said, "The person who will return with the tallest bean plant will win the prize. But you can't cheat." All kids came back with large plant pots and bean plants filled with smaller beans. Only one girl returned with a plant pot filled with soil. As soon as the principal saw her pot, he gave her the prize. Why? Here are your 3 seconds. The teacher gave them cold cooked beans. They couldn't have sprouted unless the students cheated. And these guys all got A's, huh? Makes you wonder. The mayor takes you with him on an investigation. A man named Martin had finished his veggie garden and invited his friends over for a party. Then his wife vanished. He called detectives, and there are 3 suspects in front of you. Steve said he was looking at the cherry tomatoes and picked one to try it. Donna said she was checking out the little squashes that had started growing. Martin said he was taking professional pictures of the flowers for his blog. You've got 2 seconds to determine who's lying. It's Martin. This was a veggie garden. It didn't have any flowers. Time for your last test. You're walking into an underground tomb. You must retrieve the treasure and make it out alive. As you walk deeper and deeper into the tomb, you come across a mysterious creature. He says, "You must correctly answer my riddle. If you do, the treasure is yours. If you don't, you'll disappear forever. I'm not alive, but I can grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air to breathe. If water touches me, I cease to exist. What am I?" 2 seconds. The answer is fire.
Phantoms and other fantastic creatures! You're not impressed. All your life you've been running a myth-busting blog. It's gotten pretty popular recently. Abandoned hospitals, creepy hotel rooms, haunted apartments, cursed houses. You spend a night in all of them and take a bunch of videos to prove that all those scary stories are nothing more than fairy tales. One day, one of your fans sends you a tip about a sinister, dark castle located on a rocky cliff near the coast of a raging ocean. She says this place is the scariest in the world, but you're not intimidated easily. You grab your phone and head on over. Get ready to test your courage and resourcefulness. Count how many answers you get right and find out what your score means at the end of the video. Since it's your first night, you decide to spend it in a small village. It's right by the scary castle. Usually, people can't wait to tell you how freaky this or that place is. But in this village, everyone keeps silent. You ask one of the residents to tell you something about the castle, but she responds with nothing. Did she not want to speak to you? No, that's not it. She's afraid of answering. How do you know that? I'll give you 6 seconds to figure it out. Look at her hand. It says "Runaway" on her forearm. To reach the castle, you first need to walk through a small forest. At the edge of it, you see 3 roads and 3 signs. The first sign shows a wolf, the second, a bear, and the third, a vampire. Which road should you choose? You have 5 seconds. Quick, make a decision. You don't believe in vampires, remember? But bears and wolves, those are real. Besides, it's morning, and if vampires were real, they'd be steering clear of the sunlight. You make your way through the dense thickets of the forest and record what's happening on your phone. You notice a hut. Yeah, I bet a vampire lives here, you laugh to yourself. Ha ha! Still, you decide to check it out. Your readers love that kind of stuff. You go into the dark hut and turn on the light on your phone. Cobwebs cover everything. The curtains are drawn. Some candles are out on the table. Ooh, a key. You grab it and put it inside your pocket. Before leaving, you notice a large wooden box in the corner and hear snoring coming from inside. You're scared out of your mind right now. And just then, the snoring stops. A vampire climbs out of the box. Oh, this is bad. Maybe you can get away before it realizes what's going on. You try to get outside, but the door's locked. Oh, the key! Yes! No! It doesn't work! What should you do? Quick, you don't have much time. Just open the curtains. If it really is a vampire, it should be afraid of the sunlight. It worked! The vampire jumps back into the box to escape the light, and you make a break for it through the window. Finally, you reach the edge of the forest and get your first glimpse of the castle. In front of you is a large gate. You push on it. It swings open. As soon as you're in the courtyard, you realize you are not alone. 5 other people are there. They're just standing around. No one's talking to each other. You want to know if they've heard anything about the owner of that creepy hut in the woods, so you walk a little closer. But you get a strange feeling deep in your stomach. Something's wrong with these people. You can't believe your eyes, but it looks like some of them are actual zombies. How many zombies are there? You have 10 seconds. Look closely. There are 2 of them. That guy over there doesn't have an ordinary arm. It's all bones, like a skeleton. And that woman in sunglasses, she's holding someone's eyes in her hand. Are those her eyes? You approach a guy who seems almost normal, but he doesn't look at you. He just keeps staring at the sky. It's a little scary. Okay, time to venture into the castle. As soon as you open the door, you hear music. It's a waltz, and it's coming from the main hall. Several couples are dancing around in 18th century costumes. Yikes. You decide to try and blend in by hitting the dance floor yourself. Well, after a few seconds, you look around and your face turns pale. These people are phantoms. How did you figure it out? Look carefully at the details. You have 5 seconds. Look down. None of the dancers are touching the floor. They're just floating along. You run out of the hall, climb the wide stairs, and run into a random room. You lock the door and breathe heavily. Oh, you're starting to have serious doubts about all this mystical stuff. Maybe it does exist. But how is that even possible? A ray of sunlight suddenly shines on a luxurious bed with beautiful linen. Then it hits you. You're tired. Oh, you'll just lie down on the edge of the bed, and a 10-minute nap will really help get your head on straight. As soon as you close your eyes, though, you hear a rustling in the sheets right next to you. Then you feel a cold hand on your neck. You keep your eyes sealed shut. You're way too afraid to open them, but you pinch yourself to make sure you're not dreaming. The fingers on your neck start squeezing ever so slightly. Oh, that's it. You bolt out of bed. As fast as you can, you whip out your phone and try to record the whatever it was. But there's nothing. Only an empty bed. Were you sleeping, or was it real? You noticed something. Phew, oh, it's just a bad dream after all. What did you notice? I'll give you 6 seconds. The sun was shining when you lay down. Now, it's the full moon that's shining. You were out cold for a while. You leave the bedroom and walk down a long hallway lit by torches and candles. The silence is broken only by the churning of your stomach. Guess you're hungry. Well, there's a heavy wooden door in front of you, and it's open just a crack. The pleasant smell of food starts wafting its way into the hallway. You go in and find a huge table, decked out with real silverware and porcelain. Oh, the food looks delicious. There's caviar, lobster, fruits, vegetables, different meats, plenty of desserts. Several people are sitting around the table, and as you approach them, they turn around to look at you. They're all vampires! How did you know? I'll give you 5 seconds to figure it out. The food on the table is untouched. The vampires have been waiting for their most important dish. You run. You make it back out into the hallway, then dart down a dark corridor. The vampires are chasing you. They're screaming. You find 3 doors at the end of the corridor. The first one has a fire symbol on it. The second has a snake symbol. And the third just says, exit. You try to open it, but it's locked. The vampires are closing in. What are you gonna do? You have 4 seconds before you become vampire food. Try the key you found in the vampire's hut. Great, it fits! You run out into the courtyard and lock the door behind you. The moon is hidden behind some thick white clouds. You sneak through the courtyard and open the back gate of the castle. Next to the gate is a sign with an image of a werewolf on it. You walk off as quietly as possible. After about 5 minutes, you see a long bridge. There's a beautiful woman standing at the other end. She waves to you and motions for you to come closer. But something's bothering you. Could she be a werewolf? So, you can either cross the bridge or head back to the castle. What can you do to find out if she really is a werewolf? You have 10 seconds for this one. Good luck. Wait until the moon appears from behind the clouds. Your intuition was right. As soon as the moonlight falls on the woman, she begins to turn into a werewolf. Still kind of cute though. You run back into the castle grounds and close the gate behind you. Okay, reality check. You're in the courtyard. Vampires are inside the castle, a werewolf is waiting outside, and zombies are approaching. You're trapped. Why did you even come to such a scary castle? You pull out your phone and start recording a farewell video. You thank your followers for their views and comments. Thanks for subscribing. You admit that mystical creatures do exist and promise that you'll never set foot in a place like this ever again if you survive. The zombies are closing in and the werewolf is breaking down the gate. Oh, awesome. Your fear is gone and you realize that this whole thing is staged. It's all a show. How'd you figure it out? Watch the farewell video again and find the proof that everything is fake. I'll give you 10 seconds to spot the clues. Do you see that big guy with a camera behind you in the tower window? The zombies stop growling. They scream, "Surprise!" They're not zombies. They're just wearing a whole ton of makeup. The gate opens and the woman takes off her werewolf costume and smiles. The vampires come out of the castle, carrying their fake fangs. This whole thing was set up by your fans. They wanted to scare you, and it worked. You're angry at them, but so happy that you're still alive. Okay, let's see how many you got right. 1 to 3 points. It'll be difficult for you to act in stressful situations. Watch more riddles and train yourself to be calm and focused. 4 to 6 points. Something really bad has to happen for you to lose control. Phantoms don't seem to scare you at all that much. 7 to 10 points. You don't even know what fear is, but you do know how to come out victorious in any situation. You have one question for your fans. How did they create that floating effect for those dancers? That was awesome. Your fans look at each other. What? What are you talking about? What do you mean? There were no dancers. A slight chill runs down your back.
Richard had a collection of beautiful paintings. One day, while he was away, his favorite one got stolen. The police suspected one of Richard's neighbors. Nicole said she'd been out of town. She returned home just an hour ago and was so tired after a long drive that she immediately went to bed. Dennis said he had been getting ready to paint his house, but since it didn't seem the rain would stop anytime soon, he went to the movies instead. Julie answered her sister had been feeling unwell. That's why Julie was busy looking after her little nephew. Who was lying? It was Nicole. It had been raining for the whole day. If the woman had returned home just an hour ago, the road under her car would be wet. A wealthy businessman had 2 sons, Gary and Jeffrey. The loving father doted on his boys, but unfortunately, he had a lot of enemies who often threatened to harm his sons. One day, Gary was rushed to a hospital. He had been poisoned. Jeffrey, scared out of his mind but feeling okay, went with his brother. When the businessman arrived, he asked Jeffrey what had happened. "We were playing soccer and got awfully thirsty. Some man gave each of us a bottle of water and we drank it all. But then, how come Gary is in a hospital bed, poisoned, while Jeffrey is fine?" The water the boys drank was okay. The poison covered the bottlenecks. Unlike Gary, Jeffrey didn't touch his bottle with his lips while drinking. Kyle has been caught by a mad professor and locked in a room with only one door and no windows. Is the scientist going to experiment on the poor guy? Kyle has to get out of there as soon as possible. After searching the room, he finds 4 keys. On the door, there are 4 keyholes with a number under each of them. Kyle has to match the keys and keyholes, and there's hardly any time left. The professor's car has just stopped near the house. The digits on the door match the number of the angles the geometric shapes on the keys have. 3 people were stopped at the security check of an international airport. They were suspected of smuggling different stuff out of the country. The first man was heading for a beach resort. In his suitcase, there were a lot of things needed at the seaside: an umbrella, a pair of sunglasses, sunscreen, and a beach towel. The second man had a cage with 3 colorful birds and a pet carrier with a family of hamsters. He had all the necessary papers. The third man was traveling for business. In his bag, he had a suit, some documents, a toothbrush and toothpaste, and a bottle of expensive shampoo. Who's the smuggler? It's the third guy. He's bald. Why would he need shampoo? Young fashion designer Robert was preparing for his first show. He was excited and a bit anxious, so he took a break to steady his nerves in a quiet corner. But when it was time for him to present his collection, he was nowhere to be found. In an hour or so, a security guard saw him in the bathroom, lying on the floor. Someone had hit him on the head. The police had 3 suspects. Maya, one of the models, said she had had problems with her dress. "I didn't even have time to leave the dressing room." Catherine, one of the guests, answered she was Robert's huge fan. "I've been wearing his clothes for years. Why would I hit him?" Sam, the designer's assistant, said he had rushed to the nearest coffee shop to get Robert an Americano to calm him down. Can you figure out the culprit? It was Catherine. That day, it was Robert's first show. Then, how could she be wearing his clothes for years? Ethan and his girlfriend Anne went to explore a cave and got lost. After some time, they came across two people, a man and a woman. The man, bearded and rough-looking, had a shovel in his hands. "I've been stuck here for a week. I know how to get to the surface, but I need your help. Come with me." The young woman exclaimed, "Don't trust him. He's a criminal. Follow me. I've been here longer than him. I know where the exit is." Who should the guys believe? Ethan and Anne decided to follow the man. If the girl had been in the cave for more than a week, why does she look so tidy and has fresh flowers in her hair? Mickey wakes up locked in a basement. The guy has no idea how he got there, probably through a hatch in the ceiling. There are also 3 doors leading out of the room. Behind the first one, there's a deep pit with metal spikes at the bottom. The second door leads to a lake with hungry piranhas. And behind the third door, there are crocodiles. Suddenly, the room starts to fill with water. Which door should Mickey choose to escape? He should pick the first door. Once the pit is filled with water, the guy will be able to swim over the spikes. Adam's car has gotten broken right in the middle of a deserted forest road. But the worst thing? It's winter, snowdrifts are huge, and the wind is freezing cold. Adam has to get to the nearest town, and fast. But if he follows the first path, he'll have to deal with hungry wolves. The second goes through the area inhabited by bears. And if he takes the second road, he'll have to cross a river covered with thin ice. Which is the safest way? Adam should sneak through the bears' territory. These animals sleep in the winter. Lauren has cooked 10 buckets of chicken wings for a family gathering, 1 for each guest. But later, it turns out little Jimmy has been left without his portion. Someone has taken 2 buckets. Is it Uncle Patrick? He looks suspicious. Or maybe Lauren's son Justin. He's wearing this creepy, knowing smile. Or could little Jimmy himself hide his chicken wings in his bag with toys to get another portion? Look at the dog. It wouldn't leave Uncle Patrick's side. It can smell the meat the man has hidden. Look at these 2 girls and their fridges. One of them has never had enough money until recently, when she won the lottery. Which girl is that? It's the girl on the left. High heels, a flashy dress, and a fridge filled to the brim. She looks like a person who has finally managed to get their hands on some big money. Lisa was a millionaire's daughter. She was fed up with her dad trying to control her life. After he told her one day he'd found a fiancé for her, she decided to run away from home. She took enough money and the most discreet car she could find in the garage and left. The girl knew her father would send his people to bring her back. That's why she never stayed in one hotel for more than one night. One day, she found herself in a small town. It was getting dark, and she had no choice but to stop at the first hotel she saw. The receptionist said her room number was 710 and offered to show her where it was. Lisa immediately grabbed her bag, ran out of the hotel, jumped in the car, and sped away. Why? The first digit of a hotel room number usually means the floor it's on. Room 710 is supposed to be on the 7th floor, but the hotel only has 2 floors. A little girl walks through the park and spots a hungry cat. She decides to share her sandwich with the poor animal. Unfortunately, there's a stream between her and the kitty. She squats down to attract the cat's attention and shows it the food. In no time, the animal is next to her. There's no bridge over the stream, and the cat isn't soaked. How is it possible? It's winter, and the stream's frozen. Okay, get ready. Today I'll show you different riddles, and you'll have to decide which girl is behaving least wisely, which is a nicer way of saying she's a dunderhead. You'll have 7 seconds to decide. The riddles may award 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points. So grab a piece of paper and give yourself the points each time you get it right. We'll start with the easiest questions that earn 1 point each. Autumn and Hope are going for a walk with their friends. It's 60 degrees outside. Who is dressed in the worst way? Hope. Autumn can take some of her clothes off, but Hope doesn't have anything to wear in case she feels cold. Ava and Olivia are camping in a forest. Suddenly, they encounter a bear on their trail. Ava stands still, and Olivia starts to run away. Who is in danger? Olivia. The bear might see her as prey and follow, and he's definitely faster. So it's better to keep your cool and slowly move backwards, keeping the eye contact. Haley and Savannah are making sandwiches for lunch. Who did something terribly wrong? Haley. She put rat poison in the sandwich instead of jelly. Delaney is on the road trip and stopped to make a couple of pictures. Lenore is riding a bike to a nearby city. Who isn't being smart? Delaney. She parked her car right under the sign that says "Parking isn't allowed." Jane and Charlotte are learning how to swim. Jane went to the lake with her little siblings, and Charlotte went to the ocean with her friends. They both jumped in the water alone. Who is in greater danger? Jane. In case she struggles, her little siblings won't be able to pull her out. McKenna and Desiree are late for school, so they're taking a shortcut. McKenna takes the way through the woods, and Desiree decides to go across a frozen lake. Who's in danger? Desiree. There are cracks on the lake's surface. Ruby and Mary were enjoying their time outside when a storm started. Ruby hid in her car in the open space, and Mary kept swimming in the ocean. Who is not safe? Mary should get out immediately. It's dangerous to touch water during a thunderstorm. It's okay to hide in a hardtop vehicle as Ruby did. Okay, easy questions are over. Next questions will give you 2 points each. Paige and Riley are going on a date, but they tell their parents they're practicing instead. Paige plays tennis, and Riley plays soccer. Who's the worst conspirator? Riley. She's dressed inappropriately for a soccer game. Unlike Paige, she doesn't have any change of clothes or equipment with her. Quinn and Sandra are working in a garden. Quinn was told to water the flowers, and Sandra should mow the lawn. Who's doing something wrong? Quinn. She was told to water the flowers, but she's watering the trees. Everly and Jasmine drove to a mall. Everly left her belongings in the car, and Jasmine locked her dog there while she's shopping. Who's being more stupid? Jasmine, you shouldn't leave animals or people in a closed car, especially in the hot sun. It's the wrong way to get a hot dog. Mia and Stella wanted to get a tattoo and skip their classes to get home right after school. When they get home, they immediately run into their parents. Who's going to get in trouble? Stella. Her tattoo is right on her wrist, and there's no way her parents won't notice it immediately. Hannah's best friend is teaching her ice skating, and Lily is learning to ride a bike with her older brother. After several minutes, they feel like they've got it and ride away from their supervisors very fast. Who's least careful? Lily. Hannah has the railing by her side that she can grab in case she falls. Lily will crash to the ground. Kylie and Abby are bloggers getting ready for a party. Who is missing something? Kylie. She's charging her cell phone, but the cord is unplugged. Melanie and Delilah are walking home from work late in the night. Which of the two isn't being careful? Melanie. Although she's walking in a less creepy place, there are no people around. If something happens, no one will be around to help her. Sophia and Brooke went camping in the forest. Suddenly, they notice a moose moving towards them. Who is in greater danger? Sophia, who is wearing heels and will run slower. Brooke can drop her huge backpack and use it as an obstacle. Kira and Ava want to go to a party, but their parents banned them from leaving the house. Kira decided to sneak out using the attic window, while Ava used the back door. Who won't make it to the party tonight? Ava. Kira is quite risky, but Ava's dad is reading a newspaper in the backyard. Maya and Chloe went for a walk. Maya went to a forest and stopped to take selfies with a friendly squirrel she met. Chloe went hiking and decided to take a selfie on the cliff. Who is in danger? Maya. The branch above her is about to fall. Maeve and Sarah are cheating on their math test. Who is more likely to be caught? Sarah. Although she's sitting in the back, the teacher's looking right at her. Bella and Ashley came home from a party which they told their parents would be a study date. Who's going to be grounded till the end of the month? Bella. She'll have a hard time coming up with a logical explanation for the confetti in her hair. Elizabeth and Kate are late for work, so they're driving above the speed limit. Which of them is in greater danger? Kate. She has many objects lying scattered in her car. In case of an accident, they may hit her. Ariana and Serena have to do their house chores before they'll be allowed to go to the birthday party. Who is going to be late? Ariana. The iron isn't plugged in. Since she's distracted with the TV, it might take her a while to notice. And finally, here are the hardest questions that award 3 points each. Jessica and Margot are jaywalking. Jessica is listening to music, and Margot is texting her friend. Who is in greater danger? Jessica. Although they're both behaving poorly, Margot is on a straight road where she can be noticed. Jessica is jaywalking before the road takes a turn. Someone might not have enough time to react and stop. Julia and Naya are taking a vacation to the jungles. Julia got tangled up in lianas, and Naya got stuck in quicksand. Who's in danger? Juliet. She can't get out, and there's a jaguar approaching her. Naya is relatively fine because it's actually difficult to sink in quicksand. Leah and her friend Caleb went camping. Caleb was bitten by a snake, and Leah is sucking the venom out of his leg. Amelia is on the trip as well, and there's a black widow on her neck. Who is in danger? Leah. It's dangerous to suck out the venom. As for Amelia, black widows rarely bite, and the bites are rarely fatal. Becky and Allison are both in a bathtub doing their morning routine. Becky is using the hairdryer. Allison is charging her phone while scrolling through the internet. Who is less clever? Allison. It's dangerous enough to have a socket close to the water, but Allison is charging her phone. Becky is sitting in the empty bathtub. She might be a little weird, but at least she's safe. Evelyn and Grace are on vacation. Evelyn is spending it in a desert, and Grace is in the wilderness. By the end of the day, they get tired and decide to spend the night where they are. Who's making a huge mistake? Evelyn. Night temperature in the desert can fall to 25 degrees Fahrenheit and she'll be freezing. Grace's fire will scare away wild animals. Emma and Avery are planning to go to the movies with their friends tonight. Meanwhile, they're enjoying a hot summer day. Who's not going to make it to the movies? Avery. She's about to cook the meat that has been standing in the sun for a while. In the evening, she'll get food poisoning. Scarlett and Emily are sitting on a beach in a city center. Scarlett is applying makeup, and Emily is texting her friends. Who is more likely to be robbed? Emily. Although they're both distracted, at least Scarlett has a mirror in her hands and can see if someone is approaching her. Ella and Madison are driving to their friend's birthday party. Ella is chatting on the phone with her boyfriend, while Madison is applying lipstick. Who is in greater danger? Madison. Although they both shouldn't be distracted while driving, Madison isn't wearing a seatbelt. Now, sum up your points. If you got less than 25 points, you scored below average. But don't be sad. Check out some of our other riddles to train. If you've got between 26 and 40 points, you have an average score and you're on the right track. If you scored between 41 and 55, you're above average. And if you scored 56 or more, you must be a second Einstein. Relatively speaking. 4 friends were hiking in the mountains. At lunchtime, it started pouring down. The friends hid in a cave. They decided to 4 friends were hiking from the entrance to protect themselves from the chilly wind. When they were already deep in the cave, Amelia discovered she'd lost her phone. The girl asked her friends to go and look for her gadget, and she was going to stay there and start a fire. In a half an hour, the guys were back. James said he hadn't noticed a lake in the dark and had fallen into it. Oliver told her he had seen some bats, got terribly scared, and rushed back. And Ethan nearly got lost. "I'm so happy I made it back to you." Which guy behaved suspiciously? Ethan lied. James was soaked through after falling into the water. But why was Ethan's hair wet? It looks as if he was outside in the rain, but decided not to tell his friends about it. Mr. Lawrence called the police. He said someone had taken his car for a joyride, crashed it into a streetlight, and run away. The man was sure it had been one of his neighbors. The police questioned 3 of them. Ivy answered she had been at work and arrived home only in the evening. Cameron told the police he had been helping his dad remove old stuff from the attic. And Aaron claimed he had been hanging out with his friends, eating pizza, and binge-watching the latest series. After listening to all the suspects, the police officers arrested one of them. Who was it? It was Cameron. There's no attic in his house. He invented the whole story. Jackson was going to marry the love of his life, Liza. But one day before the wedding, his fiancée disappeared. Her room was a mess. On her bed, Jackson found a note with several hastily written numbers, 5509-710. Jackson knew 3 other guys were in love with his wife-to-be. Jaden was a landscape designer and often sent Liza beautiful flowers. Luke owned a gas station and usually tanked up the girl's car for free. And Asher was a hairstylist and helped Liza with her hair. All of these guys wouldn't be above taking the girl away to prevent her from marrying Jackson. But just one of them was actually guilty. Who? Jackson turned the note over and realized it read, "Oil Boss." It was Luke who had taken Liza away. Kevin had been dreaming of getting a motorbike for ages. He'd taken several training courses and read tons of specialized literature. And finally, the guy saved enough to buy the motorcycle of his dreams. Kevin was so excited, he immediately went for a ride. The guy was enjoying the trip when suddenly some force pushed him to the side of the road. He lost control of his bike and crashed into a tree. Luckily, Kevin was wearing a helmet and was unharmed, unlike his precious motorbike. The guy looked around and saw a gray Ford disappearing into the distance. It was a hit and run. Kevin was devastated. He checked his motorcycle. Despite being damaged, it was okay to ride. The guy continued on his way. Just several minutes later, he saw the very same gray Ford parked near a coffee shop. Kevin rushed inside and saw 4 people. He didn't need much time to understand who the driver that had hit him was. It's the man standing near the counter. The rest of the visitors are already eating. He's the only one still choosing what to order. Naomi invited her friends to a pajama party at her house where she lived with her parents and an older brother. The only thing she told the girls was, "Don't enter my brother's room. Mark loves playing tricks on people, and once you're in there, you might not be able to get out." They had been eating, gossiping, and watching viral TikTok videos until one of Naomi's friends asked, "Wait, where's Rebecca?" What the girls didn't know was that Rebecca went to the kitchen to drink some water. But she got lost and ended up in Mark's room. The door closed behind her back, and try as she might, it wouldn't open. That's when the girl noticed a password lock with letters on it. At a loss, Rebecca looked around. Was that a piece of paper on the table? She picked it up and saw 5 numbers on it. 37692. The girl thought for a while, then entered a combination of letters and got out of the room. What was the password? The code was the first letters of the 5 numbers, TSSNT. Claire's the best student in her class. She's also friendly and kind. Her classmates love her nice character and how she always finds a way to help them at the tests. This time, though, it's going to be tough. There will be new rules during their upcoming math exam. There won't be anyone at school except for the students and several teachers. The library, cafeteria, and gym will be closed. Students will have to leave their phones in a special locker. It won't be allowed to talk whatsoever. If students need to go to the bathroom, they'll have to do it one by one. And the teacher will check the bathroom after each student, even the toilet paper. Claire's classmates are devastated. They know they're going to fail the test. "Don't worry," the girl says, "I've got an idea." When the kids get their exam results, they see the highest marks. Their teacher knows the students cheated, but how? Claire was the first to go to the bathroom. She wrote the correct answers on the steamy mirror with her finger, and her classmates could read the answers by breathing on the mirror. The little cheaters. Detective Brown is following a man who's suspected of smuggling. Suddenly, the man speeds up and disappears around the corner. The detective runs after him, but there's no sign of the man. The only place where the suspect could hide is a beauty salon. Brown rushes inside and sees 3 women, but he knows for sure one of them must be the man he's looking for. Which one? All of the women look stylish and ladylike. But look at the arms of the one sitting on the right. They're too hairy to belong to a woman. That's our criminal. An expensive ring went missing from a jewelry store on the first floor of a large shopping mall. The manager called the police. After watching the CCTV camera footage, they had 3 suspects: a student, a woman with a 10-year-old daughter, and an elderly man. The student said he had agreed to meet with his friend next to the jewelry store. "I didn't even set foot inside." The woman was furious. "I was at the movies with my daughter here in the mall when everything happened." The elderly man said, "Yes, I did enter the store. I felt unwell and asked for a glass of water, but I didn't take the ring." Who's lying? All the movies running at that time had 16+ age rating. The woman wouldn't be able to watch any of them with her young daughter. Vicky's friends knew the girl loved all kinds of riddles and puzzles. Once they decided to play a trick on her. While she was sleeping, they moved her to the attic and left her there with nothing but a note, a pen, and a flashlight. When Vicky woke up, she found herself in a dark room with no windows, a locked door, and a table with a piece of paper on it. The note said, "Crack this riddle, write down the answer, and slip it under the door. If it's correct, you'll be set free. M1Y L1I1 F1E." Vicky was a smart girl. She didn't need much time to find the answer to the riddle. Do you know it? The expression hidden in the note is "for once in my life." After Vicky slipped the paper under the door, her cheering friends let her out. Justin was an archaeologist who explored ancient pyramids. One day, something went wrong, and he ended up locked in a tiny room deep underground. The guy got into the room through a narrow passage. It was blocked by a rock slide several minutes after he entered. There was only one other door in the room, but it was locked. To open it, the guy had to solve a riddle. It looked like this. After mulling it over for some time, Justin guessed what it meant. Can you? The answer is try to understand. One day, a public library made a strange announcement. Each member could borrow as many books as they wanted. They also didn't have to return them for the next half a year. Why? The library was moving to a new building, but they didn't have enough money. And this way, the patrons would move most of the books by themselves. Smart! So your friend asks you for a favor and gives you $5 asking to buy something to eat, something to drink, something to feed his cow with, and something to plant in his garden. At the same time, you're allowed to buy just one thing. What are you going to buy? You can go and buy a watermelon. You can eat it, you can drink it, you can feed the cow with the rinds, and as for the watermelon seeds, you can easily plant them in the garden. An egg has to fall 100 feet, but you can't let it break. You can't slow down its fall or cushion its landing. How can you do it? Drop the egg from a height greater than 100 feet, and it won't break for the first 100 feet. Cracks me up. Let's imagine you don't know what an elephant looks like. One day, you're going on a safari to watch animals with your friends. One of them points at a rhino and tells you it's an elephant. The other shows you a hippo and claims that it's an elephant. Who will you believe and why? The task was to imagine that you didn't know what an elephant looked like, not that you didn't know what a hippo and a rhino are. It means you won't believe either of your friends. It's fitness day at school, and all the children ran the same distance. Each kid was ranked according to his or her own unique result. Billy turned out to be both the 50th fastest and the 50th slowest runner. How many kids are there at Billy's school? Even though 100 sounds like a clear-cut answer, it's actually 99. Billy is the 50th in the sequence from 1 to 50 of the fastest runners. If he's the 50th slowest, there has to be 99 runners ranked from 50 to 99. Mrs. Smith went to the police claiming that her vintage necklace was missing. The woman was upset. When the police arrived, they saw no signs of a break-in. No messed-up locks, no misplaced doors. Only one window was broken. There was a total mess inside the house and dirty footprints all over the floor. Surprisingly, the next day, Mrs. Smith was arrested for fraud. Why? The police were sure that Mrs. Smith lied to them because the window was broken from the inside. If it had been broken from the outside, little pieces of glass would have been on the room's floor. You've been captured and kept in jail for several months. One day, you manage to open your cell and get out into the hall. There are 3 exits. A huge, vicious-looking man guards one of them. The second has angry dogs. And in front of the 3rd exit, there's a timer ticking down to an explosion in 5 minutes. Which exit will you choose? Wait until the explosion is over and get out through the 3rd exit. Bill and Joe have had an argument about human body capabilities and made a deal. Bill would go to Antarctica and Joe would travel to the Sahara Desert, where they'll both try to survive for 3 days without any shelter and clothes, but with plenty of food and water. Who has the better chances of survival? It's Joe. In Antarctica, the temperatures are freezing all the time, and without any cover, Bill would become an icicle in less than a day. In the Sahara, on the other hand, the extreme heat might cause blisters and even heat stroke, but only in the day. It's rather cool there at night, and water will help Joe fight any dehydration. James escaped from prison and ran for the countryside. Suddenly, on a small, deserted road, he saw a police car heading right at him. James ran toward the car for some time, then turned and rushed into the woods. Why did he run toward the car first? James was in the middle of a bridge when he saw the car. He had to run toward the vehicle to get off the bridge. Newlyweds left for their honeymoon and asked their neighbor to look after their house. When they returned, the woman found out that she'd lost all her expensive jewelry because of a power outage. The woman had hidden her jewelry in a supposedly safe place. The house wasn't robbed. The neighbor was an honest person. The jewelry got lost on accident. What happened? The wife hid her jewelry in the freezer in a bag with frozen food. After the power failure, all the food spoiled. The kind-hearted neighbor decided to help and threw away all the bad food, together with the jewelry. On a sunny, windless day, a ship was in the harbor. There were many people on the shore looking at the vessel. Suddenly, the ship started to sink fast. There was nothing wrong with it, there was no storm, and the skies were blue. And yet, the ship went down in front of the spectators. What happened? Nothing unexpected. The submarine's captain just ordered the crew to dive. You're playing ping pong when your last ball falls into a 1-foot-deep narrow metal pipe embedded in the concrete floor. How can you get the ball out of the pipe if all you have is your paddle, a bottle of water, and your shoelaces? Pour the water from your bottle into the hole, and the ball will rise to the surface. Oh, and use your shoelaces to keep your shoes on. It took 7 years to build the world's tallest skyscraper. Every year, the builders managed to double its height. How many years did it take the skyscraper to reach half its maximum height? Six years. If the constructors doubled the building's height every year, the skyscraper had to be half its final height a year before it was completed. There's a low railroad bridge in your town with a car tunnel under it. One day, you see a large truck sitting right in front of the tunnel and a confused driver walking around. You come up to him and ask what happened. It turned out that the truck is just a couple of inches taller than the allowed height. So if he drives inside, the truck will get stuck. Unfortunately, that's the only way to the driver's destination. How can he get through the tunnel? He has to let the air out of the tires. It'll make the truck lower. Lucy could only use a public telephone to make calls. One day, the phone broke. She informed the phone company, but they did nothing. The next day, she came there again and said something. The day after that, the phone was fixed. What did Lucy say? She said that people were making calls without paying. A family lived in a round hut. There were 5 people, a mother, a father, and their 3 sons. When the father came home one day, he discovered that his computer was broken. The mother was away. Mark, the oldest kid, said he was doing his homework. Jack, the middle kid, swore he was drawing. And Tom, the youngest, told father that mom had punished him and so he was standing in a corner. Who broke the computer? It was Tom, of course. A round house doesn't have any corners. There is a 1-mile-long bridge, which can only hold 5,000 pounds at one time. That's exactly the weight of the truck that's crossing it. The truck reaches the middle of the bridge and stops. Suddenly, a bird lands on the truck. Is the bridge going to collapse? The bridge isn't going to break down because the truck has already used some gas to get to the middle and therefore weighs less than 5,000 pounds. You agreed to take part in a reality show, but it turned out to be a trap from a crazed lunatic. He tells you to dive into one of 4 tanks. The first one is swarming with venomous snakes. The second is filled with corrosive acid. Electric eels are swimming in the third one. And the fourth tank is filled with bacteria-infested water. In which tank will you have more chances of survival? Choose the tank with the bacteria. First of all, not all bacteria are harmful, and secondly, not all of them are contagious. Good luck with that. Mark got himself a new book to read. The plot was so exciting that he couldn't stop and kept reading the story until late at night. He didn't turn on the lights when it was pitch dark and there was no one to do it for him. But he still managed to read the book till the end that night. How is that possible? Mark was blind and was reading a book written in Braille. Or he could have just had an e-book. Hey, why not? A super wealthy businessman, Mr. Carl Jenkins, has been taken and left locked up all alone in a dark room. His phone's almost run out of charge, so he can only write one message. He knows that someone might spy on his phone, so he decided to write a message with a code to a high school friend, John Smith, who runs a detective agency. He remembered that in high school, they would cipher messages to each other, so he used the same technique. The message was this. Can you guess what it means? Back in high school, they would shift one letter to the right each time they needed to write a secret code. To decipher it, you need to go one letter to the left. Their alphabet looks like this. The message is, "It was Eric." Having read the message, John knew immediately who his friend was talking about. Eric is the financial director of Carl's company. He had seen him once at a party a couple of years ago, so he knew what he looked like. John decided to investigate this case himself and help his friend out. He was sure there was something secret in Carl's mansion. Somehow he thought he knew that Eric would have the key to the mansion. The receptionist, Kelly, said he would always have lunch with different business partners at 2 p.m. sharp in his favorite cafe. When the detective drove up to the cafe, he saw Eric, the man with a beard, discussing business with someone. Either of them had a briefcase next to them, and the briefcases looked similar to each other. John was waiting for Eric and the second guy to leave the cafe. They went to the car, got in, and left both briefcases on the back seat. The detective followed them. They left the car in a parking lot, and luckily, they were careless enough to leave the car open. Which briefcase should the detective grab? The one that looks brand new. While they were walking to the car, the detective spotted a few scratches on the second man's briefcase. Both briefcases were locked with a cipher. Not to make the whole thing suspicious, the detective decided not to take it and cracked the code right in the car. Can you help him open the briefcase? The code is 000. The briefcase is brand new, and Eric probably didn't have time to set a code on it yet. Plus, Eric's the one who leaves the car open and unattended in a parking lot. So, no wonder he uses a default code for his briefcase. Now that the detective has the key, he heads to the mansion. The front door isn't a problem with the key in hand. The study is upstairs. He's been there before, so he remembers the stairs leading up have a secret. If you step on the wrong stair, you'll instantly fall to the basement and won't be able to escape from it yourself. What step should John mind? It's the one with the slit in the middle. When you step on it, it opens and you get into a dark room with bats and spiders. Yikes! Alright, John is finally at the study door, and Carl would always use buttons to open it. You've got only one try. There are 3 buttons: yellow, green, and blue. Which one should the detective choose if he knows that Carl is a big fan of painting? A combination of blue and yellow gives green, so the door opens. Green light for our detective. He finally reaches the safe with top-secret documents that could help him find out the truth. Obviously, just like any other safe, it's locked with a code. It also has a warning. You can enter the code only once. If you hit the wrong code, the safe locks up forever. He's looking around for a hint, and voila! John is right. On the desk, he sees a note. It says, "Secret code," and has a combination of 3 digits, 3, something, and 1. The digit in the middle can't be seen since there's an ink stain right on it. Can you crack the code with one attempt only? The code is 371. The detective thought the code was used frequently, so the button must have been a bit worn out. He was right. Since he knew the beginning and the end, he only needed to find one more worn button. Alright, now he's got the top-secret documents he needed for his investigation. He looks through all the papers and finally finds something that looks like the document he actually needed. To take it as a hard proof, he needs to find one which is not fake. There are 4 copies. They look almost the same, but only one is real. Can you guess which one? It's the one in the upper left corner. It has a stamp, a signature, and it says agreement. The one next to it looks the same, but it has a spelling mistake. It says agreement. Other copies lack either a stamp or a signature. So the detective takes a closer look at this agreement and sees something about a painting bought in an auction. He suddenly understands that his friend Carl was taken so that someone could sneak into his mansion and grab that super expensive painting. He's looking at the wall with all the paintings Carl collected and realizes that no painting is missing. There are as many nails in the wall as there are paintings. Still, there's something strange about one of them. Can you spot what's wrong here? Even though all the paintings are present, there's one that lacks a frame. According to the agreement, the painting has been recently bought, and an art dealer helped Carl pick it. The expert was an honest man, and he helped Carl make sure all the other paintings in his collection were real. This time, the painting turned out to be nothing but a copy. Why did the expert suggest that Carl buy it? Although the painting cost nothing, its frame was a beautiful and expensive piece of art. The one who grabbed it definitely knew that. Now it's all clear. John has to find both Carl and the precious frame. He goes outside, trying to deduce where the person who took Carl went. Carl is looking at all the tracks on the ground. He needs to follow one of them to understand where to look for Carl. Where should he go? He's got to follow the tracks going to the left. There are 3 sets of tracks here. The first belonged to John's car. The second set belongs to a 2-wheel vehicle, and since the tracks are really thin, they were left by a bike. It seems impossible to take someone somewhere on a bike, so these must belong to a mail carrier who comes every day to bring the letters. The last set of tracks definitely belongs to a large car, so John should follow it. He's lucky and there are no turns, so he's just going straight. Half an hour later, he sees something like a castle. He drives up to it and he sees 3 moats in front of him. Here's the first one, a row full of metal stakes. How can John jump over it safely? There's a small hot air balloon nearby. John has to untie it and light the lamp to take off. Since the next moat is on fire, John thinks it's unsafe to fly over it because the air balloon doesn't fly high enough and the lamp doesn't have enough oil to go on for long. Still, he managed to cross the moat with fire easily. How did he do it? He took the sand from the air balloon's ballast and sprinkled it on the fire, extinguishing it. The last moat was filled with scalding hot lava. It took John some time to figure out how to cross it, but he managed to do it safely. How? There were a lot of stones around him. The lava torrent wasn't deep at all, so throwing stones at it, he made a tiny path to hop on. The castle was rather small inside, so the hardest thing was to actually get into it. When he entered the hall, John saw 3 doors. Above the doors, there was a sign. It said, "One of the doors leads to a labyrinth no one ever escaped. One of the doors is the exit. If you enter it, you'll have to cross all the 3 moats all over again. One of the doors has what you're looking for." When John looked at the doors, he knew immediately where his friend was. Which door did he choose? The handles were made of shiny metal, which looks cool but gathers all the fingerprints. The only door with fingerprints is the one on the left. John opens the door and sees his friend. Carl rushes out of that dark room, and while heading to the exit, they spot a few frames. Which one is Carl's? The rectangular one. The painting was rectangular, and the 2 other frames are square. The 2 friends get out of the castle, get in the car, and head to the police department. There, an officer's waiting for them. They have 3 suspects who could have possibly taken the exquisite frame. Carl and John enter the room separately. Still, they choose the same person. Who did they choose? The man on the right. Carl chooses him because it's the art expert. John chooses him because he saw him with Carl having lunch. Wow, seems like this expert's not going to work with Carl ever again.
A woman went out of the airport. She hailed a taxi and gave the directions to the driver. As soon as they drove off, the woman started to talk. Her blabbering annoyed the driver. He turned to her and said, "I can't hear what you're saying. I'm almost deaf." The woman was shocked and didn't open her mouth for the rest of the ride. Only after she got out of the taxi did she realize the man had lied to her. How did the woman understand it? If the driver had hearing problems, he wouldn't have been able to follow her directions. Detective James was invited to Long Hill College, where more and more students had their things stolen. The detective was asked to investigate these cases. In a week's time, the man had 3 suspects. "What were you doing when the last theft happened?" he asked them. Thomas said, "That day I was away. I had to take my younger sister to her rehearsals." Amanda replied, "I spent that day in the library, getting ready for my presentation." And Ryan said, "This summer, I'm going to Denmark with my parents. That's why I spend all my free time learning Dutch." Detective James immediately understood who was lying. Can you figure it out? It was Ryan. They speak Danish in Denmark. Dutch is the language of the Netherlands. Jason works in the same company as Amy, a bright and lovely girl. The guy has had a crush on Amy since they first met. To attract the girl's attention, Jason agrees to take part in the Brain Challenge game organized by their company. The first task is to crack a rebus puzzle. Jason is given a piece of paper. That's what he sees there. It doesn't take the guy long to figure out the answer. What is it? It's broken promises. Jason is one of the few who gave the correct answer. He moves to the next level. He finds himself in a room full of random stuff. There, he needs to find an object that would be the answer to the following question. What goes up when the rain goes down? Look around and help Jason find the needed object. The guy chose a red and white umbrella, and that was the right answer. His next challenge was to get out of a basement. There are no windows there. Jason sees just one door with a letter combination lock. The only thing that can probably give him some hint is a note he finds in the farthest corner. P plus 3, N minus 1, B minus 1, N plus 4, S plus 1. What's the code word? Jason needed more time to crack this riddle, but he managed to get out of the basement. The code word was SMART. The key to this riddle was hidden in the alphabet. P plus 3 following letters is S. N minus 1 letter is M, and so on. Jason is amazed to find out he's one of the 2 contestants to make it to the finals. Now, he has to do his best to win. The guy comes up to the table with 3 cups on it, but only one of these drinks is safe to try. The other 2 are poisoned. And even though a mistake won't cost Jason his life, the consequences will be unpleasant. The drinks are tea with sugar, cappuccino, and hot chocolate. Which one should Jason choose? If it was indeed sugar in the tea, it would have melted completely. But it didn't happen. Cappuccino looks suspiciously green. It's probably unsafe to drink. Jason opted for the hot chocolate and won the challenge. Now, Amy will definitely notice him. 3 people are hiding in bathroom stalls. Try to figure out who's a pregnant woman. It's the one wearing the untied sneakers. It's often difficult for pregnant women to bend over to lace up their footwear. 2 people were born at the same moment, but they don't celebrate their birthdays on the same day. How is it possible? They were born in different time zones. In one of these zones, it was already the next day. Detective Brown was having dinner in his kitchen. Suddenly, he heard screams coming from his neighbor's house. He rushed there. The door was open. When he ran inside, he saw a paramedic bending over a lying man. Once the doctor saw the detective, he exclaimed, "He fell down the stairs. Luckily, he's just unconscious. I need to take him to the hospital." Detective Brown didn't need to think twice. He called the ambulance and arrested the man on the spot. Why? When the detective was running towards the neighbor's house, he didn't see any car outside. Then how did the paramedic get there? And how did he know his help was needed? You don't have them when you're born, but you get them later. In several years, you don't have them anymore. But then they come again, but in a different form. Many years later, they might leave you again. What are they? They are your teeth. A criminal appeared in a small town, and 2 young women went missing. Right now, the 3rd girl is being taken away. When she comes to her senses, she finds herself in a well with 2 other girls. The well isn't particularly deep, so they decide to try to get out of it. The shortest and slimmest of them climbs on top of the other 2, but she can't reach the edge of the well. What can the girls do to get out of there? The tallest of the girls should climb on top. She has the longer arms and will easily reach the edge of the well. You get lost in the woods in the middle of the winter. Suddenly, you see a cabin. It's dark and cold inside. There is just 1 candle on the table and a wood-burning stove in the corner. You pull out your matchbox and see there's only 1 match left. What should you light first? The match, of course. It was winter when an elderly couple finished building a pretty new house. The husband was responsible for the construction, while his wife was a self-appointed decorator. The house looked beautiful. Very proud, they invited their teenage grandchildren to have a look at their work. But within an hour, 1 guy and 2 girls managed to break several windows. They also knocked down the fence, removed the decorations, and ruined the roof. But the most bizarre thing, the retired couple didn't seem to mind. They just smiled looking at the teenagers. Can you figure out what was going on? The grandparents made a gingerbread house and invited their grandchildren to eat it. 5 costs $25 and 25 $50. If you buy 2 $55, you'll pay $75. What is it that you buy and how much does 1 item cost? You're buying door numbers, and one of them costs $25. On a rainy Monday morning, a car hit a woman at the crosswalk and sped away without stopping. Luckily, the woman wasn't badly hurt. She even managed to describe the vehicle before being taken to a hospital. It was a green van. The accident happened in a small town. That's why the police figured out easily that there were just 3 cars like that. They found and questioned all the car owners. Gary said, "My sister took part in a concert in another town. I gave her a lift and waited for the show to finish to drive her back." Angela explained to the police she'd been busy with some household chores, gardening, washing her van, and the like. Larry answered he was ill. That's why he spent the whole day in bed drinking hot tea. The police officers understood who was lying right away. Who was it? It was a rainy day. Washing a car and gardening when it's raining? Not the best idea. Angela must be lying. A man was in an 8-story building when a fire started. He jumped out the window but didn't even bruise himself. How is it possible? The man jumped out of the first floor window. 2 people are standing near the river. Both of them want to get to the opposite side, but the boat can carry only one of them. It's summer, and the river isn't frozen. And still, they manage to get to the other bank. How? They are on opposite sides of the river. One town had a weird law. All the men leaving there had to be clean-shaven, but no man was allowed to shave himself. The only person in the town who was licensed to shave them was a 40-year-old barber. But then, who shaved the barber? There was no need. The barber was a woman. A mother promised her son to pay him $60 per hour if he washed his hands for 6 seconds before eating a meal. The son did that, and his mom gave him his well-earned money. But the boy got upset. Why? Because he received just 10 cents.